If you've ever been in a high control group, you'll know the crushing power of shame. That feeling like you're broken, sinful, or unworthy. Today, I'll demonstrate an art therapy prompt that can help process this complex emotion. Cults can manufacture shame around almost anything, from how you look to the way you move, even down to micro expressions they decide are unacceptable. You might be told you're too much of one thing or not enough of another. When the shame targets things beyond our control, like our appearance, the healthiest response is cultivating acceptance and self respect. But when the shame is tied to our behaviour, especially ones we ourselves would rather not repeat, that's where it becomes more complicated. I know this because I've experienced this in the past few days. While it's not a cult story, it does demonstrate the power of shame and how that deep sense of conflict inside can be crippling if not processed in a healthy way. And so that's what today's art therapy exercise is designed to explore. We're going to draw two circles, one representing our good intentions and the other representing the uncomfortable feelings that arise when we fall short of the standards that we want to live up to. To begin, choose your preferred medium. I like watercolours because they enable me to fill a whole page with colour very quickly, but you can use whatever you like pencils, textures, collage. It doesn't matter because with art therapy, it's about the process, not the final product. And so this activity involves 3 steps all up. So beginning with step 1, the circle of good intentions. On one side of the page, draw a circle and inside, write or sketch your good intentions, the values or qualities you genuinely want to live by. In cult contexts, these intentions are often turned against us. A leader might demand purity, or total surrender, or perfect faith. At first, these words can overlap with our own genuine intentions, like wanting to be kind, spiritual, or authentic. But in a cult, the bar is always raised much higher. So no matter how hard you try, you're told you've fallen short. As a general rule, I believe most of us act from good intentions. My own example isn't that dramatic, but it captures this dynamic quite well. What happened was I was in a Zoom meeting where I spoke too quickly without fully thinking through my words. Nothing was said to me directly, but I had that sense that my comment didn't come across as supportive in the way that I meant it to. My real intention was to show empathy, yet I left the meeting feeling frustrated with myself, annoyed that I hadn't been more careful, and uneasy because I don't know the other people in the meeting that well. Ever since, I found myself ruminating about it, replaying the moment in my head and wishing I'd done better. So, in my positive intention circle, I've mainly focused on the colour green to indicate growth. And around it, I've filled the space with blue to remind me of bright, happy blue skies. Once it had dried, I went back and I drew some leaves in there just to really emphasise the positive intentions that I had with my remark. Step 2 is the circle of ickiness. Now, draw another circle on the opposite side of the page. Inside, write or sketch the feelings that come up when you don't meet those impossible standards. Maybe it's guilt, shame, fear of punishment, or the sense that you're just never enough. In cults, this is where the control happens. Shame becomes the lever. Leaders magnify normal human struggles like making mistakes, feeling tired, or doubting and framing them as spiritual failures. They teach you to distrust yourself and rely on their authority to fix you. In my drawing, I've used gloomy browns and black, applied in rough, imperfect strokes to capture that sense of ickiness. I also put red down because I wanted to represent that sense of being angry at myself. Around the outside, I added grey to represent storm clouds because that's how these feelings sit. they're heavy, they're gloomy, and they're hard to shake. Now, to be clear, this picture isn't a literal outcome of me speaking without as much care as I intended in that Zoom meeting, but it does represent how I've been feeling inside, disappointed with myself for not living up to my own standard of empathy. And that's a really human response. And this is the important point. In a cult, those ordinary icky feelings aren't just left to settle, they're weaponized. Cults take the natural discomfort we all feel when we fall short of our own intentions and twist it into a tool of control, reinforcing shame until it becomes a cage. So, to overcome this, we need step 3, building the bridge. Now, when I look at my 2 circles, the one holding my good intentions and the one holding the ickiness of my shortfallings, I notice there's a gap there. In healthy environments, that gap is where growth happens. But in cults, the bridge between the two is hijacked. Instead of learning, self-forgiveness, or personal growth, leaders demand obedience, confession, or surrender. They insert themselves as the bridge, making you dependent on their approval to feel whole again. But in reality, we don't need their bridge. We can build our own. So now on my page, I'm drawing a bridge between the 2 circles. This bridge represents learning, self-forgiveness, and growth. If you're doing this activity, you might want to draw stepping stones, a rainbow, or a sturdy walkway, whatever feels right for you. And as you create it, think about what helps you cross that gap into your own life. I'm asking myself things like, what lessons can I take from the times I've fallen short? How can I practice self-compassion instead of shame? What supports me in moving forward, even when I stumble? So when I finish and I sit back and I take in the whole image, my intentions, my humanity, and the bridge that connects them, I see that this is the part that cults never allow. They thrive on keeping you stuck in shame. But the truth is, we already have everything we need to cross that bridge ourselves. Reflection time. Looking at these 2 circles helps me remember who I want to be. And what I'm seeing here on the page is something cults never do. They do not encourage self-acceptance, forgiving oneself, and growing without their authority. Instead, they use shame as a prison. I'd much rather see it as a teacher, one that guides me towards greater self-compassion and resilience. I may not have met my own personal standards this time, but I'm certain I will not make exactly that same mistake again. If you've come out of a high control group, exercises like this can help you reclaim parts of yourself that were twisted or silenced. Every time we choose to build our own bridge instead of waiting for someone else's approval, we take another step towards freedom. If this exercise resonated with you, please let me know in the comments. And if you followed along and did it yourself, I'd love to hear what your bridge looked like or what insights came up for you as you drew. And if you'd like more guided art therapy prompts and discussions about healing after cults, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next video. And remember, we're never broken. We are all works in progress, and the bridges we draw can help us along our recovery journey. The activities and opinions expressed in this video are for educational purposes only and are not a substitute for professional therapy. If any of the topics covered stirred up strong emotions, please use self-care and seek professional guidance as necessary.